Exposition. This is Mike Thompson, and Exposition is a show about the arts and artisans out of the southeastern Ohio region. With me today is most of Valerie Thomas, at least her head. She's now a floating head over here.
That's me.
What happened to the rest of you?
I'm really not sure today. I woke up like this.
Just not feeling like yourself?
No. I'm just not all here.
Tell me something I didn't know. Okay, well today we're featuring an artist that works in a different medium. Did you say he's a potter?
A ceramicist?
A
Potter?
Ceramic artist.
Ceramic artist.
Chuck Maxam.
Artisan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chuck Maxam with Just Fired Ceramic Studio. I don't think it's just fired because he just lost his job. I think it has something to do with the firing process of
freshly fired. Yes.
Okay.
New wear. Yes.
Okay. Do you want to appear in whole?
Okay. Fine. Darn it.
This is the whole thing here.
The whole thing.
All of you.
Thank you
except
so much.
for what's under the desk.
I'm a thing.
All right. So, how did you get started in the ceramic arts?
Ceramic arts. I actually did not get involved in the ceramic arts until I was in college. I've always been some form of an artist, but never touched a pottery wheel until my second semester here at the University of Rio Grande, my freshman year.
Okay. Forgot to say, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit about your background.
I originate out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's where I was born and raised. Don't hold that against me. And I'm a graduate of the University of Rio Grande, graduated in 2012. I have the fortunate distinction of being the most decorated art student in Rio Grande's history.
Wow.
So, yeah, I
did not know that.
I wear that very proudly. I'm very happy, and I love my art community. And
what
the
kind
other
of
artists.
decorations would that be? Or what are you saying when you say most decorated?
With our student art program, we have an art show every year. And I am the most winningest artist in the student show history.
Okay.
So.
And that's in the spring
that's
usually?
That's in the
March?
Yeah, that's in March. Yes.
March. Yes.
Yep.
I've been. It's amazing.
Yes, it is. It's very cool. They put on a very good show, and to see that caliber of work come out of a small college like this is, it's wonderful to have.
Okay, so in taking art classes, you probably had drawing, painting, and all these things. What about this medium drew you to it?
It's permanence. Ceramic art has been created, actually it started out with a functional nature. 25,000 years ago by the Jomon culture, which is a small peninsula off from Japan.
So not German, Jomon?
Jomon.
Jomon,
yes.
Okay.
They have archaeological digs up there that are finding ceramic shards predating 25,000 years. They were the first culture to produce the ceramic ware, and from there it disseminated into the full of Japan, then went into China, the other Oriental countries, and worked its way across into the Middle East, the European countries, But yeah, the very first ceramic work was actually produced in Japan.
Be interesting what kind of accident that, I'm sure somebody was standing around and threw some mud in a fire and it's like, hey, this got hard.
That's probably what happened. Some kid was probably sitting there making a pinch pot, not knowing what he was doing, and you know, father being father picked up, oh, that's, threw it into the fire, and you know, it came out, you know, 2 days later, it was hard, it was functional, you know, and that's probably where it started. That's probably where it came from. Most of your early ceramic art, and by early I'm talking, you know, prehistory, is done through a pit firing process where they literally bury the ceramics underneath the wood, light the wood on fire, and just have a massive bonfire with the ceramic work underneath.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if they built the fire and then put this on top of it and then covered it.
And they watch over it all night. There's like a
all they have to do is just make sure that it's burning for hours and hours. And actually, the hottest part of the fire is actually in the coals. To become food safe, the work actually has to reach 2160 degrees. That's a cone 6 for.
What does that do to it? Now, is that just without glaze? Is that just a bare
pottery? With bare ceramics, you can eat off from and drink from a vessel that has been fired to a cone 6, because at cone 6, it actually closes down all the small pores inside that ceramic and turns it more to a glass. More towards a glass vessel than a ceramic vessel. And as you move up in cone, it becomes much more glass-like, depending on the recipe of ceramics that you're using or your body that you're using. If you have a higher feldspar ingredient, or if you're going more towards the stoneware, you know, your China ball clay, which would be more of the porcelain. You know, so it depends on the body of clay that you're using and the temperature that you're firing to.
Is that the same thing that they do with, I've seen like these pizza stones or these stones that they put in the oven? Yep,
the pizza stone is generally a stoneware. And
how is that different from ceramics?
Ceramic is just a broad statement.
Okay.
Ceramic is anything that is made from a clay body, and that's all it means. So you can porcelain is ceramic.
So that's the umbrella.
That's just it's an umbrella statement. It's a blanket statement that covers everything that comes from
earthenware, maybe
earthenware, stoneware, porcelain.
That's been fired somehow.
Every form of ceramic has to be fired, whether it's electric, wood. Gas, atomic,
coal,
I guess, if you need to, coal firing. That is actually Sager. Sager firing is a coal firing.
Is there any benefit in doing one or the other, or is it just what you have available in your environment?
What you have available, it used to be what's available in your environment, but now it's what you can afford as an artist. Like, I do mostly electric firings because I can't afford a gas kiln. You know, gas kilns are immensely expensive. We're talking $6,000 to $20,000 for a gas kiln, and then you have to be able to operate it.
Right. Then you got to put the gas in it.
Hundreds, sometimes thousands of cubic feet of gas that are used for one firing.
How long does it take to do that?
For a gas firing or for electric firing?
Are they the same?
No. Gas firing.
It just doesn't have to come up to a temperature.
It comes up to a temperature, but your gas firings generally are, because it's an atmospheric firing, you can get small small gas kilns, but you don't have the licking of the flames that you do in a large kiln.
Okay, so it's not just heated.
Right.
You actually have fire around it.
Yeah, you literally have this fire licking your pieces. It's lapping around, it's spinning around and swirling around inside this kiln. So it does have a longer process, and it's much more volatile.
I was just thinking it was more like an oven where you've just got the flame somewhere else.
No, that's what an electric kiln is. An electric kiln is more of a convection firing where there is very little atmospheric movement in there. So you're literally just heating up the pieces to a cone or to a temperature. With the gas You can introduce a lot of different elements into it, like salt, soda, briquettes. You can actually throw charcoal into it to create a smoke.
Oh, so that's sort of like
It'll
using
change that
Right,
appearance.
it'll
like
change the
using wood
appearance.
chips on your grill.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it changes the appearance of the piece. With a wood firing, actually, wood, because it grows in the ground, it absorbs minerals. Those minerals are actually physically inside that wood. So when you burn that wood, those minerals are released in that smoke. And that smoke, billows around and it deposits those minerals onto your ceramic pieces, actually causing a glaze.
So that would be a non-glazed piece that you put in that.
A lot of your artists all the way through history have used some sort of a glaze on it, whether it just be a wash or it would be a modern glaze, as a body for that smoke deposited mineral to attach to. That smoke enhances the appearance of your piece. It'll change the color of it, turns browns, reds, green, depending on where that wood is grown, what minerals that wood has absorbed. If it's a hardwood or it's a soft wood or it's bamboo or,
So what's the basis of the glaze? What makes a glaze a glaze?
Glaze, you could probably count hundreds of thousands of different recipes of glazes.
It's
Now
a
you had-
formula.
It depends regionally. If you go back into history, it's whatever they had at their disposal. There may be cultures that didn't have a feldspar, or they don't have chromium, or they don't have, all these different colorants at their disposal. So they would
It's
use
a formula that
Yeah, it's a balanced formula. It's 10%, 20%. 1% of your colorant, whatever your body is, and those things are changing daily. There are artists out there who mix up glazes daily, and they only make that one firing with that one glaze, and then it's discarded or it's completely used up, and they create an all new body of
Now, is there a
glaze.
food glaze, or is that still
You
depending on the temperature?
You have a food safe glaze. All of your food safe glazes are lead free.
Okay.
Like all of these pieces. This is actually one of the oldest glazes known to man. It's called Tomoku. It was developed by the Japanese just over 5,000 years ago, which makes glazing about the same age as wheel throwing. The oldest wheel has been, or was discovered actually in Mesopotamia, somewhere around the city of Ur, I believe. And that's 5,000 years ago. And that's about the age of actual glaze, where they were making the conscious effort to dip pieces, roll it in a powder or dip it into a wet solution to actually create, a different colorant on the outside of just the clay body itself.
Can you describe this other piece here? You said that was a Japanese.
This is a Japanese-inspired rice bowl with a traditional Yunomi foot. That the Yunomi foot actually is a descended foot. The reason why almost all of your Yunomis have a descended foot underneath them is because in the Asian culture, they serve their soups boiling hot. So you can't grab a hold of your vessels with your palms. This is actually the way that you would hold on to it. The descended foot allows for there to be a gap between the hot bowl and your hand.
your hand's like the handle.
Yes, your hand becomes the handle for
That's fascinating.
and actually it is an
Why
insult.
don't I just put a handle on the sucker like that?
Because the handle on the side is English. It is a European development. Yeah, I don't know when the first handle was put onto a piece,
Yeah.
but
And it looks like this one. That one was probably done on a wheel.
Yes.
This one is not, right?
Yes, this one is what they call slab work. I actually do a pancake toss with the clay to actually make it flat. And then I use a template. My template is actually a measuring gauge this is a 12-ounce mug right here. It can be used for beer. It can actually be frosted, so it can be served cold, or you can drink coffee out of it by day and beer out of it by night.
Would you have to, since you said the hot and the cold, do you have to worry about this stuff like you do certain other, I don't know if it's glass or whatever, if you had like a boiling hot thing, then you pour some cold in it and it shatters?
No. Like what I said, when we fire the ceramic art itself, or the ceramic piece itself, it reaches 2160 degrees. That's food safe, and that's where all of my pieces are fired to. So boiling water is, what, 218 degrees?
212.
That's nowhere near, the thermodynamics
just
that
the
piece has to
change
go
of...
to. Now, if you were to put this into the freezer and you were to freeze it, and then pour something hot into it, you may break that threshold, that thermal dynamic where you'll actually cause it to expand in different areas. That's actually what causes glass to break, is this part overheating and this part staying cool, and it actually causes the fracture in between.
Yeah, most of the times my mom has done it with something like that over there, that flat piece.
Yeah, this flat piece?
Right, she'll take like a pie out of the oven and didn't know that there was a wet rag sitting there, put it down, and then boom.
Yep. Yeah, this piece is actually thrown extra thick so it can be warmed up in an oven. You can actually serve
what is
hot.
that?
This is a serving platter. Some people call it a pie plate. It's actually a serving platter that can be heated up to just under 200 degrees, right around 200 degrees, and it will actually keep your food at a warmer temperature. It's been thrown extra thick.
Just to keep the heat in it.
Yes, it's very, very durable.
So like,
all of my ware is made from stoneware.
Which is a different mixture of the clay.
Yeah, it's just a different recipe for the clay itself. Even my pitchers.
Go back to the other shot there.
Oh,
there you go.
Even my pitchers, they're all stoneware.
That's really nice colors.
Yeah, I like my pieces to have a transition from the inside to the outside. It's usually why I glaze the inside with a different color from the outside, so that there is that transition.
It's fancy.
Yes, I love this color.
Can you fire them more than once, or is there a reason to?
You can, but you will actually wind up burning some of the colorant out. Even though you're bringing it up to the same temperature, that colorant is still very sensitive to temperature. I've actually done that with this blue Reteal glaze. I've actually burned the colorant out by firing it again, but then it turns into like a sea foam blue-green. It's almost opaque. It's beautiful, but it makes that piece twice as expensive.
Okay.
So yeah, you can double fire pieces, but you are going to change the color.
I wasn't sure if there was a reason to do that other than an artistic thing.
No, it's more of the aesthetic. It holds no benefit to. It holds no benefit to the ceramic piece, whether it's fired once or twice or
how sturdy that is. Or
no, and in fact, you are inviting a thermal dynamic to come in to actually destroy that piece within that firing, because you're stressing that piece. There's actually two firings that you do in a ceramic work. First, you fire to bisque. Bisque makes it very hard.
Just kind of takes the water out of it?
It takes the water out of it, and it hardens it to a certain point. You fire it to 1865 degrees. That is bisque. That allows the piece to still breathe, and if you were actually to pour water into that piece, if you were to leave it set for 10-15 minutes, that water will actually leach out of the piece because it's very porous.
So like one of those slow soaking hose things.
Yep. With the nature of that piece, that also allows that glaze to adhere within the body itself. So when you dip it or you spray it, you paint it, however you put your glaze on, that glaze will actually be sucked into the body of the ceramic, so it becomes more...
It's not a coating, it's part of it.
Yeah, it actually soaks into it, because when you actually dip your ceramic piece, you'll actually hear almost like a very light sucking noise. It's a very strange sound that you hear come from the ceramic piece. And it's actually drawing that glaze into the body. So it's actually very
like alive.
cool. Yeah, it is. It's very cool. And then you go through and you fire your piece again to bring it to temperature, whatever cone that would be, whether it be cone 6, cone 10, cone 12. And once after you get up past cone 6, those cones are separated by a mere degrees. It could be 40 degrees between each cone. But as that cone goes higher, the piece is actually shrinking and reducing in size. When you fire to cone 10, you will get a definite ring instead of a thud, like you do with these pieces. These are at the low end of the firing spectrum, but still food safe.
Would that be a way to test things that you find around?
Yes, absolutely. If you go to a flea market and you see ceramic ware, depending on the body itself, whether it's, you'll get a different sound out of porcelain than you will out of stoneware. So you have to be able to recognize the body itself. You can, if you have any experience in it, it's pretty easy to tell the difference.
Can you tap and ting and listen?
Yeah,
Sort of like a watermelon. It's like, you know when that's good.
You can look at it, and if it's bone china, you can hold it up to the sun, and you'll actually be able to see through the piece.
Wow.
With your more of your porcelains, it doesn't have those ingredients in it that stoneware does. It has 2 or 3 less ingredients in it sometimes, depending on which body you're using. So it doesn't have that large particle, small particle bond in there, kind of like concrete. You have to throw the large grog in to concrete to make it actually more strong. Then you throw the small particles in to fall in between your pieces. The same way with stoneware. Porcelain is all that small ingredients. So it turns actually more to glass when you fire it. So you will get a ring out of it. You will get a definite ring out of it from cone 6 to cone 10.
So what's the thing that you like the most about doing ceramics? What part of the process, and what was the hardest thing to learn?
Well, I'm going to take your second question first. The hardest thing to learn was actually the throwing process. The actual working of the wheel, how to center your piece, how to manipulate your hands, then how to throw your piece.
Does it help to be stronger?
Definite upper body strength is.
I wasn't sure if it was more technique, like in motorcycling. It really doesn't matter how big you are; it's just in your head.
Right.
And a strong back.
It depends on. It also depends on what body you're working in. Whether you're working in porcelain. Porcelain does not have that heavy grog in it, so it doesn't have that weightiness to it. So porcelain is incredibly easy to throw. It's almost like throwing butter. Stoneware has much more resistance to it, so it takes much more of a heavy hand, but it's also much more forgiving.
Yeah.
If you squeeze too hard on porcelain, you're just gonna pop its little head off. With stoneware, you can get in there and you can manhandle that piece. So
so what part of the process do you enjoy the most?
I think,
because I know there's a certain excitement in each part.
Each piece that I create has a fossilized part of me in it, whether it's a fingerprint, whether it's the finger trails actually in the piece. I think it's actually, my favorite part would probably actually the creation and the development of the piece from a ball of clay to
a form.
And then after that, my second favorite part is the glazing process, because then you're really creating the personality within that piece. What colors you combine with it, whether you dip it or you spray it or you you know, use a paintbrush to actually paint the glaze onto it, you know, then you know, your technique comes out of that.
Okay, something else I want, if you're looking at this type of stuff,
Yes.
The markings, what's important about that? You sign each one on the bottom.
Yes.
And then you have a specific mark on the side.
The mark distinguishes, with a lot of potters, they'll actually change their mark throughout their career, and that is sort of a ladder effect. This mark symbolizes the early career. This mark symbolizes the mid-career, and this mark symbolizes the end of the career, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So this is my mark that I use. This is actually my second mark that I have. I don't know if you can cut
we can't
closer
get that
to
close.
Up.
You know, right there. That is the actual mark that I use, and that's actually my second mark. The first mark I developed, it's like that, but it's much larger. I developed that in college. So the ware that I produced in college has a large stamp in it. And a lot of the people who collect ceramic ware want the piece signed. They want to know that it didn't come from Taiwan.
Right.
You didn't have it shipped over from, you know, some, you know, sweatshop in Taiwan.
And you're passing it off as
right, and you're
real
passing it off as
artwork.
your ware. So, you know, that is a courtesy to the collector from the artist, saying that yes, this is an authentic piece.
Okay, so if somebody's interested in looking at your artwork and finding it and purchasing it, where would they find you? Work, you know, maybe watch you work or whatever.
I am on Facebook, Instagram, and I also have my own website. Mm-hmm. They're all Just Fired Ceramics.
Just Fired Ceramics.
Just Fired Ceramics on Instagram, and Just Fired Ceramics Studio on Facebook and on the website. I have.
So do you do online sales, or do you have a storefront?
I am working my way into online sales. I do probably 14 to 15 different festivals every year, so I'm all over Southern Ohio. I actually do some sales up in Michigan, different festivals. So yeah, I am going to be reintroducing myself back into the farmers markets and the artisan markets here in Gallia County. Okay,
we're just about out of time, so thanks, Chuck, for coming on the show. It's been really interesting. So thank you, audience.
Thank you, Chuck.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, Mike.
And we'll be back next month with a new exposition. See you then.
Thank you.